okay, that were committing inadequacy of the scriptures were just as bad, okay, as the Israelites that was doing the same. So basically, there was no difference in the retrospect of the fact that, all right, the only difference was that one was a Jew and one was a Gentile, but both were wicked in the eyes of the Most High. That's why when we read Romans the third chapter, Paul quoted Psalms 14. Okay, when you get the understanding. So now let's go to Galatians chapter 2, verse 12. Okay, let's get it. Let's get more further understanding concerning this matter. All right, because all right, the Cornelius issue is an issue of sound doctrine in which men are teaching that Cornelius is an Israelite because they figured that that would make everything hypocritical. Because we read Acts 11 chapter, it talks about this, him and his household was saved. But what you don't understand is that the word saved represents to get knowledge of the scriptures. When you read the book of First Timothy, I believe it's the second chapter, it tells you that. Okay, just like when you go to church, a church person would tell you, okay, I went to church to get saved. All right, save means to get understanding and the truth and knowledge of the scriptures. That's the bottom line. All right, so basically, if you don't have the truth, knowledge, and understanding of the scriptures, then therefore that means that you cannot be saved. All right, in other words, that all men are to come to the knowledge of the truth so they can be saved. That's the bottom line. Or we read Acts 11, which I'm going to do further videos. Me and my brother Marshall, we're going to do further videos on Acts 11 chapter and give the understanding. All right, and also we're going to give understanding to brothers out there and sisters on how to deal with the Gentiles concerning the Cornelius issue. All right, now we read book of Galatians chapter 2 verse 12. Let's read it. Okay, it says, for there before that certain came from James, okay, he did eat with the Gentiles. Okay, so that was unlawful for him to do such. All right, but when they would come, he withdrew and separated himself, meaning the Jews, okay, that was in the Mosaic law, fearing them which were of the circumcision. Right, just that man-pleasing spirit. Verse 13, and the other Jews assembled likewise with him, and so much that Barnabas also was carried away with their dissimulation. So Barnabas got caught up with their simplicity. Verse 14, but when I saw that they walked not uprightly according to the truth of the gospel, I said unto Peter before them, if thou being a Jew livest after the manner of the Gentiles, right, because obviously there was a situation in which Peter was amongst Gentiles, and at that particular time, he began to start acting like the Gentiles. I don't know what that thing did, that Peter did, that caused Paul to say this, okay? But according to Galatians, Peter had checked Paul, okay? Paul had checked Peter, okay, of being a Jew, living after the manner of Gentiles. So apparently, Peter was doing something according to how the Gentiles would do. And it says, and not as do the Jews. Okay, so basically this was a situation in which Peter was not dealing with the Mosaic law, or he was not living after the manner of the Jews. It was something that was going on. The scripture doesn't specify that Peter started to do when he was amongst the Gentiles. That's why it was unlawful for a man as a Jew to keep company or coming to one of another nation. Because when you're amongst the Gentiles, you start acting like the Gentiles and start picking up of their ways. Okay, so that's why we do not want anyone, and the scripture speaks about not being amongst the nations that go contrary to the word of the Lord. So obviously Peter got caught up with that, with the intermingling of other nations and Gentiles from the time of Cornelius. I'm not quite sure what it was, but it says right here that if thou being a Jew livest after the manner of Gentiles, and when the Jews and the men of the Lord or the priests of Jerusalem will come around, Peter would try to straighten himself up. Okay, like as if like in some form of a man-pleasing aspect, or try to make himself appear holier than thou. And Paul was checking Peter for that. And it says, and if thou being a Jew livest after the manner of Gentiles, and not as do the Jews, why compellest thou the Gentiles to live as do the Jews? So Peter was being a hypocrite here. Paul was checking him, like, why is it that you are trying to tell the Gentiles to live after the manner, okay, of the Jews, but you yourself is following after the ways of the Gentiles? You understand? In verse 15, we who are Jews by nature, okay, that goes to show you that Peter was a Jew by nature, and Paul was a Jew by nature, and not sinners of the Gentiles. So basically the Gentiles, we get the understanding, were the ones that broke the commandments of the Most High. And it says, we who were Jews by nature, and not sinners of the Gentiles, right? So that goes to show you that there was a differentiation, not only of the spiritual aspect of an Israelite being a Gentile, and Israelite, Gentile, foreigner, stranger state of mind that a lot of men are breaking down and trying to teach as, which is partly correct to a certain degree. But it says that we who are Jews by nature, you know what I'm saying? Meaning that we are the natural Gentiles, okay? We are the natural branches. And then, and the Gentiles, okay, they're sinners. Okay, they're sinners. They're unclean naturally. Okay, because it wasn't given the law of Moses, and the bulk of the Gentiles from the beginning were fornicating and worshiping idols, like we read Psalms the 96th chapter. All right. So now, what makes you clean? Get Psalms 119 verse 9. Okay, this is the book of the Psalms, the 119th chapter and the 9th verse, and it says, right here, I am a, oh no, excuse me, Psalms 119 verse 9, and it says, wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to thy word. So if Cornelius was a man of the Lord that kept the word of the Lord, what would make him clean? Because the Bible tells you that you are clean through the words of the Most High. You understand? So this is a contradictory to the doctrine that's being taught for men that say Cornelius is an Israelite. Okay, because the fact of the matter was is that if he was doing which he was doing according to the word of the Lord, what would make him unclean or defiled, like we read in Titus, the 1st chapter. Okay, now let's go to Acts the 10th chapter, because this Bible tells you that a man should cleanse his ways through the word of the Lord. So now let's go to Acts chapter 10 verse 37. Keep that in mind. The scripture says a man shall cleanse his ways according to the word of the Lord. Now the book of Acts chapter 10 verse 37 says, that word I say ye know. Okay, Peter told Cornelius, you know the word of the Lord already. All right, so why was he considered to be unclean then if he knew the word, when the Bible tells you a young man cleanses his way through the word of the Lord? Okay, Peter already stated that Cornelius knew the words of God. It says, that word I say ye know, okay, which was published throughout all Judea, okay, and began from Galilee after the baptism which John preached. So why was Cornelius unclean? We read Acts chapter 10 verse 28. Let's read it again. And he said unto them, ye know how it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation. But God hath showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean. If Cornelius knew the word of the Lord already from being a witness, okay, to Christ teaching in Jerusalem, because that's how he knew, because he overheard. Because the Bible tells you in the book of Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter, that the nations would hear these commandments and say, how art thou such a wise and understanding people? Okay, it tells you that in Deuteronomy chapter 4. So now what's certain men going to say? And we read Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 5, that nation were foreigners. So everything, the solution to everything is they were foreigners. Are you kidding me, B? Okay, this is not sound doctrine. You men would get laughed out of a scholarly audience, man. Certain men would get laughed out, and I'll be laughing right along with them. Laughed right out of the scholarly audience. These scriptures is for scholars only. If you're not a biblical scholar, if you're not really into these scriptures as it is written, then you need not to have the Bible in your hand. Nor need you say that you're the truth, neither. Okay, so let's read it again. Acts chapter 10, verse 37. That word I say ye know. Okay, this is Peter telling Cornelius he knew of the Lord. Why? Not because he was taught the word of the Lord, because he overheard the word of the Lord from the prophets and Christ teaching to the Jews. The Bible tells you the Gentiles will do that when you read Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 5, 6, and 7. That word I say ye know, which was published throughout all Judea and began from Galilee after the baptism which John preached. Okay, so now why was he still unclean? Give me Job chapter 15, verse 14. Let's wrap this up. Okay, this is the book of Job chapter 15, verse 14. It says, what is man that he should be clean? And he with which is born of a woman, that should he be righteous. So that's why Cornelius said, the Most High told Cornelius, okay, the Most High told Peter that don't call no man common or unclean. Because Job already said, what is man that he should be clean? Okay, matter of fact, this is Eliphaz the Temanite. This is the Edomite saying this, by the way, because there's another doctrine going around that Job was an Israelite. Okay, that's going to get cut on the Swell Cut Sharpie channel. Okay, no, Job was not an Israelite, all right? He was a Hebrew, all right, but he was not a Jew. And on top of that, it says, this is Eliphaz. I'm going to read it, Job 15:1. Then answered Eliphaz the Temanite. He was an Edomite, okay, and said, now I'm going to drop down to verse 14. What is man that he should be clean? And he which is born of a woman that he should be righteous. So the cracker cuts you niggas, okay? The damn Edomite came out and so said, what is man that he should be clean? And you know what? David backed it up in Psalms 14:1, okay? Concerning that the children of men are all going astray. You understand? So if the Gentiles are all going astray, then the Israelites who follow after them, who don't keep the words of the Lord that went astray, guess what? They're the same boat as the Gentiles when you get the understanding. So that's why the Most High had told Peter to not call any man unclean or common when you read the scriptures of the matter.
History. Quali say, everybody act according to the season that they born in. Some in the night, some in the morning, some at noon, some in winter, some in June. It's all cool, it's a natural. Science is the jewel, for me and mine's yours and you. Let's move. Say a little bit about mine, yo. I was born in a season where the world was quiet and cold. Celebrations were going on. Some were happy, some were sad. Some felt bad from being good, some felt good from being bad. And feelings pass and change, but they never leave. They here to stay. Holiday, holiday, happy birthday. Teenage love, the first cut, run deep. So long flesh, this is the Brooklyn streets. Yeah, of the
execute them. Execute them. Execute them. Execute them.